Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. All right, my guest today is Stephen Brewer. He is the head of American Philanthropic Ventures Association. Steve, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
All right, give us some background on yourself, the 49 years of investment history you have in commercial banking and real estate. And I wanted to dive into some of the other questions that I had shortly after that with what is American Philanthropic Ventures Association?
Well, I have a long history in commercial and investment banking and have helped many companies in industry and in healthcare. And I reached a point where I was raising capital for very worthwhile healthcare endeavors, and became frustrated in not being able to get more support from philanthropic individuals that had wealth, and they were very, very philanthropic. For instance, I would go to them with some medical technologies that I thought were revolutionary and very exciting, and they would explain to me that they felt like that they were too risky and take too long to receive a payoff. And then you'd pick up the Sunday paper and they've given $1 million to the zoo or to a local park or something. And so I said, well, let me change my approach and become more philanthropic in nature, and maybe that would help cross some of those chasms between their philanthropic giving and their investment portfolio mindset. So that's why I formed this American Philanthropic Ventures.
I see, and I understand it's been successful for you. Give our audience a better view, if you will, drill down a little bit on American Philanthropic Ventures Association. What is it? Who does it work with? And what is really the end goal for you setting up that company? I know you alluded to that in the previous sentence, but I want to open that up if you would.
Yes. Philanthropic ventures are defined as ventures that have a special, unique, and valuable solution to pervasive problems that affect the health and well-being in our communities. And that could be housing, it could be health, it could be education. So we work in all those areas. We work with institutions that are developing technologies and need platforms to expose those technologies to investors so that they can get the funding they need to become commercialized. So that's go ahead.
Let me interject for just a second. I get the feeling that years ago we would call that impact investing. In other words, you're working on behalf of zero carbon footprint, more ecologically sounded, directed in environmental investments. So things that do good for other people, not just that make money. Am I correct in that assumption with you?
That's precisely what we're targeting. So if for instance, if an enterprise does happen to be valuable to free enterprise, then that's fine. We've got technologies that we're developing or assisting in development that would affect the treatment of wastewater in our oil fields and prevent the occurrence of these wastewater wells that are creating earthquakes and things of that nature in the state of Texas. So that's something we take an interest in, and healthcare is certainly a big part of it. We work with a lot of the research institutions such as Houston Methodist Research Institute, Texas, the University of Texas Health Science Center. They're a co-sponsor of some of our recent events, and we're very pleased with those relationships.
How do you find these investments to bring out to your portfolio?
We have relationships with these institutions, these offices of technology transfer and technology commercialization, as they're called, and we invite them to select several of their well-developed technologies that they are trying to get some exposure. And then, in addition, entrepreneurs will come to us and they show us some of the exciting things they're working on, so we can take an active role in getting them on our platform. And we have events, and we have other ways of getting exposure to these enterprises, to our investors.
What do entrepreneurs need to know to prepare themselves to raise money?
Well, the most important thing is that they need to have thought through their business plan. They need to assemble a team of seasoned entrepreneurs to assist them in thinking through all the challenges they're going to have, both in the handling of their intellectual property and the funding needs that they're going to have, budgets, and then they need to find somebody that's experienced in raising capital for these kinds of enterprises, and then they'll be coached in presentations, and so that's I think that's the important series of things they need to consider.
Now, you're coming to Dallas next week to bring 50 investors so that a portfolio of companies can make a presentation to these people. Give us an idea of what you do to help these investors prepare to make those presentations so that they can actually become more engaged with the investor and ultimately, hopefully, come away successful in their pitch to get investors to help them meet their goals.
Well, the investors are typically accredited investors. They're sophisticated. They know precisely how to evaluate these enterprises. They know how to ask the right questions, and they're interested in both learning about the enterprise and the technology, and they also are interested in seeing if they can make money on their investment. So, and these are parts of area angel networks and investment advisors and family offices.
So, in these investment conferences, are they trending in any industry sector, or is it kind of agnostic? It just depends on what service or product that you're actually bringing that entices the investment into these companies.
Well, as in any investment universe, you're going to find that technologies and industry sectors have a trend line that varies from time to time. Right now, I would say that healthcare is still very very interesting to the investors, particularly medical devices and medical therapies and medical business solutions. And then we've got some other information technologies that improve the management of medical services and telemedicine. And then we do have some companies that are in the gaming industry and the financial services industry as well that'll be presenting.
Once the entrepreneur makes the pitch and to the investors, what happens afterwards? Is there any further engagement with American Philanthropic Ventures Association, or is it or the investor and the entrepreneur, they go down the road on their own? How does this work after the pitch?
Well, APVA is certainly interested in their success. That's why we do this. So we make the introduction. We encourage them to spend time together during our meeting sessions, and then we not only give them the contact information of the attendees, but we also share with them information on investors that have attended other meetings in other areas of the country, and encourage them to make their introduction to these companies on their own, and then if they need some assistance, we certainly have the ability to engage them and to assist them in moving forward and on a more focused basis.
Got it. Stephen, thanks for being a guest on today's show. I look forward to meeting you in person when you come to town next week.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and don't forget, download our new app on iOS or Android. It's the CEO Money app.